But most importantly, I think, is the futility of such uh, an aggression. This aggressive move would not change the status of the Persian Gulf region. It would not change the situation in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has shut the Strait of Hormuz, and therefore nothing can leave or enter the strait without Iran's permission. The strait is not formally shut, but ships that want to pass through have to gain permission. And so an aggressive act by the United States against an island, a territory of the Islamic Republic of Iran, would mean fierce combat. It would mean that the countries that were used to enable such an aggression would be severely punished. And we have to remember Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar, these are largely deserts. All they have is oil or gas. They don't even have water. They have desalination plants. So they're completely vulnerable to Iranian retaliation. And then again, as I said, it's not going to change let's say if the Americans carry out such an operation and succeed in taking the island, hypothetically, it's not going to change the uh, the global energy market for the better. It will make it worse because Iran's retaliation will include the destruction of assets of these countries that are engaged in cooperating in the invasion of Iranian territory. So, and that would mean long-term damage because we have two issues here. One is that the Strait of Hormuz is more or less closed. So there is every day 20 million barrels of oil are not reaching the global markets, and gas and fertilizer and everything else alongside that. So every day this is happening. But if there's war in the Persian Gulf, those installations will be destroyed. And that means that even if they open the Strait of Hormuz later on after some sort of agreement, there will be no oil, there will be no gas to transport, and there will be no tankers to do the transporting. So it would be a ridiculous move, logistically very difficult, if not almost impossible. And Iranian defenses, of course, would be taking for destroying a lot of the U.S. military capabilities. And it would be futile, and it would be more than futile. It would be very detrimental because of the long-term effects that it would have on the global markets.
What should we make though of the reports of Iran mining the Strait of Hormuz? Because this would also then prevent Iranian ships, I would assume, to some extent, and as well as friendly nations' ships to transit through the strait. Do you know anything about this operation?
Iran hasn't mined the Strait of Hormuz or the Persian Gulf or the Indian Ocean. That is all nonsense. Most part of the Iranian Navy, which can be used in the time of war, is in underground tunnels. There are speedboats, very uh, um, powerful weapons that can be used for asymmetrical warfare. And Iran has published some footage of these tunnels. It's sort of like the underground missile bases and the underground drone bases. So you have speedboats both inside the Persian Gulf and outside in very large quantities, with sea to surface missiles, sea to sea missiles that can destroy anything in the Persian Gulf region and outside of the Persian Gulf. These are all underground and well protected. The Americans can't touch them. And Iran's capability to mine the Persian Gulf region are also underground, so they're all safe. But Iran has not moved in that direction. Iran does not want escalation. I'm sure your audience knows this, but from the very beginning, the Iranians negotiated. Even though the negotiations, even if the negotiations had failed, the United States had no right to attack Iran and to murder Iranians. But Iran was negotiating and the United States attacked Iran, even though the Omani foreign minister said that progress was made. And basically, the claims that Trump made, Iran said to um, the U.S. negotiators, meaning uh, um, his son-in-law and his best friend, who were both Zionists. He said that he quoted them saying that the Iranians at the negotiating table said that we want to build nuclear weapons, which is ridiculous for two reasons. One is that fortunately the negotiations were indirect. So Iran has witnesses. And one witness is the Omani foreign minister, who, when he went to the United States and did interviews, said nothing of the sort. So obviously, either Trump is lying or his real estate buddies are lying. The second is that Iran has always said we're not developing nuclear weapons and that our peaceful program is peaceful. And we have a fatwa. And the IAEA has been consistent, at least in saying that there's no evidence that Iran has ever at any point tried to make a nuclear weapon. And even the CIA admits, U.S. intelligence admits that at least after 2003, that Iran's nuclear program has always been peaceful. So why in the world would the Iranian negotiators go and tell their enemy that wants to bomb and kill them, that threatens them, that we want to make nuclear weapons at the negotiating table? It's obviously a foolish lie, and only the most naive supporters of the MAGA cult would believe otherwise. So I think it's clear as day that the Iranians did not want escalation, and they do not want escalation. So as we speak, for example, the gas facilities in Doha and in Qatar, they are all prepared to restart if there is peace. The oil can again flow if there is peace. And most of the tankers that did not violate Iran's directions, those tankers can move and take oil and gas out of the Persian Gulf region once there is peace. So there's not a chance in the world that under these circumstances, Iran will however, if the United States escalates, if they start trying to destroy our key infrastructure, our gas installations, our oil installations, our electricity, then all bets are off, and Iran will retaliate. Iran can hurt them far more than they can hurt Iran, because U.S. assets and the assets of its proxies on the other side of the Persian Gulf are enormous, and they will be destroyed. So this is sort of a type of mutual assured destruction, a type of MAD. If they go after us, we'll go after them.